Now, Bill Maher ain't subtle. He takes on the right, he takes on the left, and now he's taken on Las Vegas with a residency at the Mirage. Tonight, the provocative host of Real Time on HBO is here with some heavy concerns and fears. What a pleasure. Bill Maher joins us on Primetime. Thank you.
Great to be here.
Oh, please, great. Thank you for taking the opportunity. So much to ask you about, so much I want to get your sense of. Let's start general. How would you describe the state of play going on in our political culture today?
Well, not good. I mean, first of all, we can't even agree on a set of facts. You know, if you can't agree on the facts, how can you come up with a solution? I don't think we ever had it that bad. And I know this goes back a ways. The Republicans always blame the Robert Bork fiasco. When was that? Like late 80s? That was Reagan era, and they say, and it's tit for tat. And I go back and forth on impeachment because I feel like, yeah, it's the right thing to do. But if they impeach Trump, whoever the next Democrat is, you know they will impeach him because they don't care about the facts. They'll do it for anything. I mean, they tried to find something on Obama desperately. I mean, Hillary, Benghazi, well, which was a completely nothing burger. They kept her on the stand once for like 12 hours, all to get one soundbite.
They got her on the stand. She stayed for 11 hours, right, as a testament to what this president
won't do. And it was all
do.
just to get one soundbite for her to say, what difference does it make? And then they were, cut, that's a wrap. We got what we want. We need that for the commercial.
And leveraging that lives were lost. And they were. And that was a tragedy, and it was worth looking at.
Right.
But they really made the most of that as if that was their cause, when you could see it was politically all along. Now, the pushback on this idea is, well, that's because both sides won't own the facts. Both sides are stretching what is real and true. Do you accept that, or do you see one side as the agitator?
Well, of course not. Look, both sides do a version of spin, but one side plainly is leagues worse than the other, and size matters. You know, you could do a whole book about Trump called He Thinks. Just stuff he thinks that no one else thinks. I mean, he's lately been having a feud with the wind. You know, he talks about the wind a lot. He literally said, it's great that I'm president because if I wasn't, America would be running on wind power, and that would be very bad because the wind only blows sometimes. He literally thinks wind power is dependent on when the windmills, like we're in Don Quixote days. And I mean, he thinks that. He thinks, he says it all the time, the stealth fighter is literally invisible.
Yeah. Do you think he's playing to what he sees as people's ignorance, or do you think it's an echo of his own?
Oh, I think it's his own. I think it's a combination of both, you know, but I don't know. He's had a lot of tutorials. I mean, take something like climate change. You know, when he came into office, Ivanka talked to him. Leonardo DiCaprio came, he entertained Al Gore, but he still tweets about if it's cold out in the winter, oh, there's your global warming.
He doesn't get the difference between weather and climate, although one of his golf clubs asked for a seawall because of the effects of it.
Okay, but you tell me, is that somebody who really doesn't understand that, or is he just trolling? I think a lot of times he's just owning the libs. That is what Republicans do in this era. More than any policy, they want to make liberals cry.
Republicans, or do you think he is a class of his own?
Well, he's both. I mean, it's so funny because he's the worst of both worlds. What I never get about the Republican base is that they never catch on to the bait and switch, that he's this new kind of Republican, but when he gets into office, what does he do? Tax cut for the rich people. The person who's going to always, I'm going to stand up for you, the little guy, I'm going to be your voice, and then they get into office, and where does the money go? Why can't we have nice things like infrastructure? It's because they spent $1 trillion giving money to the people who need it the least. There went that $1 trillion. It's funny, when Democrats are in office, you can't spend any money because we have a debt, and it's going to saddle our grandchildren, and how can you do that? As soon as the Republican gets into office, they put everything on the card, and then when they get out of office, they're like a blackout drunk. I did what? I spent what? Oh, God, the money's gone.
And they often win the narrative that Democrat means tax and spend.
It's amazing how they do that. I don't know how they win the narrative on anything. How do they win the narrative on being the party of national defense? I mean, Donald Trump is a guy who literally takes sides with countries that are not us. That may not technically be the definition of treason, but it's good enough for me when the President of the United States says, okay, I listened to my people, you know, the thank you for your service people, which we should say to them, the admirals, the generals, those people, the FBI, the CIA, they all told me one thing, but I'm going with the head of Russia or Kim Jong-un. I'm going to believe him over them. What? I'm a crazy guy. Agree with the people who are Americans.
Why don't the voters who support the president, who almost to a man or woman say, I'm a patriot, and what pisses me off about the Democrats is that they don't love our country enough? Why didn't the example of Helsinki, let's say, why wasn't that enough to change how they feel?
Because it's a cult. It's a great question. I ask it all the time. Why do Republicans get what I've called patriotic immunity? They can do anything, and they're not questioned. Whereas a Democrat in office, the least little thing, and they make it up. You know, he apologized on foreign soil. Okay, was that in the rule book? I don't remember that. Or he wore a tan suit. Remember Obama?
Oh, sure.
He was saluted with coffee in his hand. What? Your guy's a traitor. He literally sides with countries that aren't America, and you're talking about a tan suit? I don't get it.
Do you think he's winning?
Yes. And I'm sick of winning. He's right. I got sick of winning, his winning. But we'll see. You know, I mean, a lot of the recent polls show, it's funny, in a great economy, but not great for a lot of people. You have to remember that.
But that's narrative.
Yeah. Well, yes, it's low unemployment, but what kind of jobs do people have? How secure are they?
What about underemployment?
Can they get health care?
Temp workers, less hours, less money?
They never seem to catch on to this bait and switch about you vote for this guy who's going to be the little man's champion. He gives all the money to the rich people. You have this idea that your path to the American dream is blocked by immigrants and single mothers on food stamps. That's who has all the money.
And that he was going to beat people up that you don't like.
Right.
That was a big part of it. I know them. I know their game. I'm in their game, and they can't handle me. I will beat them up for you.
Right.
That goes a long way.
Well, he does that. I mean, he is a blustery guy. I mean, I've always said this. People vote not on issues, especially anymore. They vote on weakness or strength, what they perceive it. You know, I showed a picture a couple weeks ago of Beto who I like a lot, but he's getting his hair cut. Did you see the video? He looks like a 10-year-old in the barber chair. This, to me, is worse than Dukakis with the Snoopy hat in the tank, right? I mean, people see that.
Snoopy hat.
Remember when Dukakis wear that?
Yeah, it wasn't the best fit.
People see this guy in the barber chair. They want an authoritarian figure. It doesn't look like someone who's going to stand up to Putin and the rest of the world.
Look, and that's when he's talking about somebody that he likes. Bill Maher has painfully obvious honesty about things. And we go a step deeper. Whom does he think will emerge to knock some sense into the dueling Democrats? What is his advice for the crowded 2020 field? The emphasis is crowded. And what is the cancer that he says is killing progressivism? All that is next. No question, Bill Maher has criticism for the president, but not just him. He has legit concerns about all the Democrats taking him on. Emphasis on all the Dems. The Democrats have a huge field.
Yeah. Oh.
What do you see in the field?
Well, first of all, too many people is what I see in the field. That alone looks silly when you have 23, 24 people. And some of them are, I don't even know what their raison d'etre is for running. I've asked them. They've been on the show. I'm like, why you? Right off the bat, we're stumped. You know.
Do you believe that if you have so many, that means you have nobody?
Well, I just think look, Donald Trump should have been someone who made the Democrats go, wow, we got to get serious now. We got to cut out all the nonsense that made us lose the election last time. And I don't think I've seen that so far.
The midterms didn't
Well,
mean
the
that for you?
identity politics and the cutting each other up. Obama said about a month ago, he said, circular firing squad. He invoked that phrase about the Democrats. You'd think with Donald Trump as president and the existential state we're in this country, that they would not need to have that warning be given. But, you know, I hope Obama does that again. Now, he is the one person who has the, excuse me, the authority, both as the ex-president and as a rather beloved president of recent vintage, who can do that, who can knock Democrats' heads together and say, look, we've got to get serious. Stop carping at each other. Joe Biden, for example, the whole thing with the kissing the back of the head and the Eskimo kisses, and who cares? You know, if this is the guy to beat Trump, it is unconscionable to be pecking at him this way in the beginning.
And the president was very helpful in that also. He went after Biden for that, and the media picked it up. They ran with it. It got traction.
And how he gets away with it with his history of real sexual assault, when this guy, he's just being Joe. I mean, okay, you don't like it, it's creepy, I get it. Sometimes people do things to me that are too close and I don't like it, but that's life. You know, instead of writing a blog about it.
18 inches the whole time.
Exactly.
I got the note, I respect the note.
Instead of writing a blog about it a year and a half later, just turn around and say, excuse me. You know, some things you got to handle yourself.
You were strong on that. You went at it different times about what Biden was relatively in your sense of political correctness on it, where the line should be. You're okay taking the heat on it. Ultimately, for Joe Biden, where do you think it leaves him? Do you think that this spread in the polls right now is real and he'll stay there, or do you think it's just identification?
Well, I think he'll get knocked down, yes, because it's early, always at this time. You know, the person who is known. And also, again, we don't know. I think America right now looks like our feet hurt and we want the old comfortable pair of shoes. You know, he is a return to normalcy. I don't think he's a lot of people's favorite, but he's a lot of people's second or third choice, and he's good enough, and he's going to get us back to the America we kind of remember, where things happened in a normal way, and we weren't filled of anxiety and looking at our phones every morning like, what did the mental patient do now? That's what I think people want to get back to.
If Barack Obama was senator and running now in this field, do you think that he would rise to the top and beat our current president?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, he's a great politician.
You think that he'd be able to deal with Trump and his tactics?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, he was, among his other fine qualities, he was a genius politician. And obviously, to become the first black president in the United States.
Not easy.
Not an easy task. And also, you know, the reason I gave him $1 million, his campaign in 2012, because I thought it was super important after he won that the first black president get a second term, that the first black president that had to be a successful presidency, a two-term presidency without scandal. I mean, you know how hard it was when the Republicans trying every which way to find some sort of scandal, and he, not a whiff of scandal, not a personal scandal, nothing family. They tried Benghazi, Fast and Furious, Solyndra, all these nothing burgers, and that's why that is such an important thing in our history, because otherwise you don't know what Americans would have judged in the future.
You already have an argument for reaction formation to Obama, that without him as president, you wouldn't have had the kind of people come out for this president.
It was a reaction.
So now you have, well, what will the pendulum swing be this time? The Democrats are trying to decide about what you're calling comfortable shoes, the normalcy, and being aggressively progressive. Let's play Bernie Sanders. He's been the most outspoken on this.
There are some well-intentioned Democrats and candidates who believe that the best way forward is a middle ground strategy that antagonizes no one, that stands up to nobody. In my view, that approach is not just bad public policy, but it is a failed political strategy that I fear could end up with the re-election of Donald Trump.
Is he right?
That's a great question. I don't know. I can't lie to you. That's what we're trying to figure out right now, and that's what this election season is all about. I'm glad we have the time. We have debates coming up. We're going to have more of them. We're going to see how this plays out, and we're going to see what people's reaction to this is. But remember, this is going to be, because it is Trump, the dirtiest campaign ever. You have to look ahead. What are they going to attack? How are they going to swift boat whoever the candidate is? Because that's what they're going to do.
How much
That's
of it
what
do you
they
put on
always
us in terms of how we police the election, what we cover, what we don't?
The Democrats?
No, the media.
Oh, the media. Well,
although according to the president, it's one and the same, and that's why you can't believe us.
Well, you know, I don't have a lot of faith because, you know, we don't live in the era of news divisions as lost leaders like we used to. The news division didn't used to have to make a profit. Then that changed. And then report to the board like everybody else and show your earnings. And in that atmosphere, they are always going to be looking for eyeballs. That's going to be the most important thing, is getting people to click, getting people to watch. And in that atmosphere, I mean, look at how much they overcovered Hillary's emails in 2016 and what effect did that have on the election. Now, there's a lot of reasons why the Democrats lost, and many of them were Hillary was a terrible candidate. That's absolutely true.
She didn't help the situation with the emails in terms of how she handled it with her answers and her actions.
Absolutely. No, right. And she committed obstruction of justice. Now, Trump did, I think, in much worse fashion, but, you know, I mean, smashing up your your phones and your hard drives.
They had a story about it, but it was a bad outcome.
Yeah, okay. But they overcovered it. They overcovered it. They beat it to death. I mean, even Bernie Sanders had said in one of those early debates, enough about Hillary's emails. I don't know, but no, I don't trust the media. If that's the question, that's my answer.
I don't take it personally.
Not you personally.
I get it a lot.
I make a big exception for.
I get it a lot. Also, it is hard in this environment right now. When people want confirmation and echo. I can't tell you often they say, look, Cuomo, I want to like you, but man, stop going after the Democrats. Maybe they're not giving money to the kids on the border, but you got to stay focused.
Welcome to my world, because I'm one of the few people out there also who has no team, even though I think I have a team. I certainly caucus with the Democrats, and as long as Donald Trump is president, I am down the line Democrat.
But you go after them, but I think
exactly,
your responsibility?
I go after them because they need going after. They need some tough love. And I'm not going to stop. But yes, their stuff is raggedy too. They have some things they have to answer for, and they don't help themselves a lot. And I think a lot of this far-left political correctness is a cancer on progressivism. I think when you talk to Trump supporters, they are not blind to his myriad flaws, but one thing they always say is he's not politically correct. I don't think you can overestimate how much people have been choking on political correctness and hate it. There were 2 studies about this recently. It was in the New York Times front page story a few months ago. It was also in the Atlantic about a year ago. The vast majority of liberals in this country hate it. They think political correctness has gone way too far. No one likes to be living on eggshells.
We're not done with Bill Maher. How about this one? Is impeachment a must or a must not for Democrats when it comes to this president? He has a provocative answer. And his biggest fear is about what he thinks might happen after this election upcoming. Tomorrow night, you'll get all of that right here on Primetime. Has to be tomorrow. We couldn't fit it in tonight. Too much news.